Good afternoon, everyone. Will the Government Relations Ethics and Transparency Committee meeting of October 7th, 2025, please come to order? It is 1:35 p.m. I'm your chair, Nohelani U'u-Hodgins. Members, in accordance with the Sunshine Law, please identify by name who, if anyone, is in the room, vehicle, or workspace with you today. Minors do not need to be identified. Let's begin with Committee Vice Chair Tamar Paulton. Aloha.
Aloha and kia ora tātou. Streaming live and direct from the future. Here I am at the Upe Waka Marae Center. And the guy I was talking to just left because he didn't want to be identified. So I'm alone in the dining room, kitchen area of this pale. And if we go into executive session, I'll lock the doors and put in earphones.
Mahalo. Thank you very much. Aloha, Councilmember Tom Cook.
Aloha, aloha and good afternoon, Chair. There's currently no testifiers in the Kihi office, but we have people on standby, and I look forward to your meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Gabe Johnson. Is he with us? Do we see him on? Aloha.
Aloha, Chair, Council members, committee members. There's no testifiers at the Lanai District Office. I'm alone in my car, and I'm here and ready to work. Mahalo.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Tasha Kama. Aloha.
Aloha, Winola, Chair. I am home alone in my workspace, and I have Lena in the other room. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Rollins Fernandez and Member Senensi are excused if I don't see them on. Okay. And aloha, Member Sugimura.
Aloha, and looking forward to a very interesting meeting.
Thank you.
Yep.
Aloha, Chair Lee. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon and kia ora.
Kia ora. From Corporation Counsel, we have with us today Victoria Takayasu, Corporation Counsel, Thomas Colby, Deputy Corporation Counsel, and Mr. John Gores, Deputy Corporation Counsel. We have special counsel with us as well, and I will introduce them when they are needed for the item. Our committee staff include Maria Leon, Committee Secretary, Casey Apo Takayama, Senior Legislative Analyst, Jared Pasquale, Legislative Analyst, Peter Hanano, Legislative Attorney, and Lady Dean, Council Services Assistance Clerk. Please see the last page of the agenda for information meeting on connectivity. Do we have any testifiers?
Chair, there's no testifier signed up at the beginning of the meeting.
Okay,
but I
well,
do
as the person is running down, I will do a couple of things, although I know you're quite familiar. I will just emphasize that oral testimony is limited to 3 minutes per.
What's going on with that? I just think you're the bomb. Am I allowed to say that, Ambassador? No? Okay. Nā mea ho I pila ana I ka ho'opi'i kana vai no ke ahi hi hiu. Thank you, Council Services, for translating that. Yeah, this is right up your alley, Fire Tiger, on the updates on wildfire litigation. And I'm anxious to hear what's the presentation on that. I don't know if Mr. Colby or somebody else is going to do that. But I was really pleased to see that there's a Resolution 25-184 settlement authorization for Christopher Salem. It was really strange when he would come on there and testify that he was trying to do a good thing and it seemed like something bad was happening to him. And I know it wasn't this administration, something happened a long time ago. I don't know, that's just, I can't explain that one either, other than just say it's like Star Wars type stuff. Jedi versus the dark side or something like that, I guess. Spiritual battle, I don't know. Anyway, thank you for your time, everybody, and thank you for working for the county, and I save the rest of my time for the Hawaiians.
Thank you. Do we have any other testifiers?
Chair, there's no other individual signed up to testify. Would you like me to do a last call?
Please.
This is the last call for oral testimony at the beginning of the meeting. Please come up to the podium or raise your hand on Teams if you would like to testify. The countdown is 3, 2, 1. Seeing none, Chair, no one has indicated that they wish to testify.
Thank you. We will now move on to the update on the wildfire litigation, Grade 5-4. We have Department of Corporation Counsel joining us today. They wanted to provide us an update. But before we do, if without objections, I would like to designate under Rule 18A of Rules of the Council, Mr. Jordan Inafuku with McCorston Firm as a resource. Thank you very much. And at this time, if I could ask Deputy, or actually Victoria, if you would mind providing us, Corporation Counsel Takeyasu, sorry to be so informal, a update. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, and hello, everyone. I appreciate the time that you are taking today to listen to the updates. Thank you, Chair. I would like to take this opportunity to just present what the status of the wildfire settlement is right now, as well as the litigation. I do anticipate going into executive session at some point, but I will endeavor to make as much public as appropriate that we can. I'd like to begin perhaps with the status update of the Ohana Fund. That is, if everybody probably recalls, a fund that was contributed to by various entities that equaled $175 million. The purpose of the fund was to assist those. There was a special category for death and serious physical injuries. And the purpose was to assist those making claims under those two items, an expeditious way to resolve their claims without going through litigation or not necessarily with an attorney. So just as an update, there was phase one, or tier one, of the One Ohana Fund. That included, as I said, death and serious physical injury claims. There were 50 registered claims for death and 21 serious physical injury claims. Judge Ibarra was appointed by the court as administrator of this fund, and after screening by him to ensure that the claims were substantiated and it was the correct people making the claims, we were left with 26 registered claims for the death and 7 for serious physical injury. Of the 26 deaths, offers of $1.5 million were made on each, and 23 were accepted. So that came to a total of $34.5 million were paid out of the One Ohana Fund for death claims. For the serious physical injuries, 7 offers were made and 4 were accepted. I don't have the information for the individual amounts, probably because they vary depending on what the injuries were. But we do know that as of August 8th, 2025, we were provided an update by Judge Ibarra, and $40 million had been paid in total. That leaves $135 million available still in the One Ohana Fund. That phase one is closed. However, in August of 2025, phase two was or will allow reopening of the program for the additional category of other serious physical injury claims, and that's been defined as either overnight hospitalization or emergency outpatient treatment. That has not yet started, but I anticipate it will be started soon. So I don't have any information as to how many claims that's going to encompass or however much money that's going to be paid out in. Any monies, though, that are not paid out in the One Ohana Fund are going to revert to the settlement fund. I'd like to go on now to the state court where we have our special proceeding. In a special proceeding that is basically housing our wildfire litigation and settlement process. So for just purposes of discussion and to make definitions, that encompasses individual plaintiffs, which we refer to as IPs, as well as the class action, which we just refer to as the class. Aside from the individual plaintiffs or the IPs, there are 2 class actions currently subsumed in the state court. We do have one pending in federal court, but our special counsel, Jordan Inafuku from McCorston, will talk more about the class. As of this time, the approximate number of cases filed against the county are 3,965. That Each case can encompass obviously more than one plaintiff, so that is not the number of plaintiffs or individuals or businesses, that's just the number of case filings. A special master had been or has been approved. Actually, there are 3 special masters approved by the court to help create, coordinate, and manage the settlement plan. As of this time, plaintiff counsels are gathering releases from plaintiffs, and we are up to, as of the last settlement report, or release report, I'm sorry, we are exceeding 19,000 releases that have been received so far, and we anticipate probably a couple thousand more. In terms of funding and payments, I know that a lot of people are waiting for their payments to start. The funding for the settlement takes place over 4 years. So of the various defendants, they've committed to a 4-year payment plan. Some are uploading or front-loading their payments, but that's how the settlement is structured. In terms of how payments are going to be paid out, I don't have that information. That information hasn't been determined yet. It could be a matter of priority in terms of extent of injury or property damage. It could be something that's allocated over 4 years. So I don't at this time have information whether a plaintiff's going to get a lump sum payment or, again, payment spread out over time, or how that's going to be prioritized. There is a status conference scheduled for October 31st in the Second Circuit, where some critical dates will be given, and we'll have a better understanding perhaps of when those payments are going to start. I guess, based on my information and belief, but I wouldn't take it to the bank necessarily. I believe that payments could start the first quarter of 2027, but there are some issues, 2026, but there are some issues that are going to have to be worked out first. And that would, I think, the major issue would be the subrogation claims, which Jordan's going to speak to. So I'm going to turn it over to Jordan right now. He'll talk about the subrogation and the class action and what's going on there. And then I anticipate us going to executive session to perhaps talk a little more detail about what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you. With respect to the class action, I just wanted to remind you that the class action is a vessel for which we're trying to encompass all the claimants that relate to the Maui wildfire. So it's there to function as a catch-all. There's the consolidated class that is before Judge Cahill in state court. They're on their way toward a final approval of the settlement class and the claims administration process. That will take place in the next month. So the motion for that will happen in November. And we should have a ruling on whether the class is finally approved and that process toward payment of class claims is approved by Judge Cahill. At the same time, other attorneys have filed a federal class action case. One was called the Stover case, and now another one has been filed called the Bash case. Both have been filed by the same attorney, and we're collectively, defendants and plaintiffs and the class plaintiffs collectively are trying to figure out how to manage and resolve the federal class. So right now it's stayed, and we're trying to fold them into the class that's in front of the state court, which is already on the way. But just so you know, there's one in federal court currently. That's the update on the class settlement process. Again, important dates will happen in November for rulings on the final approval. Then for subrogation, as you recall, the subrogation portion of this has to do with the insurers who have paid out money to the individual claimants, and to the county. There's an issue on them getting money back based on what they've paid out, what they've actually paid out. This was previously before this issue was teed up before the Hawaii Supreme Court. We came and reported to you guys about that previously. The Hawaii Supreme Court made rulings that it goes through a lien process that is statutory, and that's how we've proceeded. In the class action before Judge Cahill, the subrogation parties tried to intervene into that to stop approval of the class settlement process. Judge Cahill denied their motion for intervention, and the subrogation parties have appealed that denial to the Intermediate Court of Appeals, which is our state appellate court. We have now filed, it was the class has filed an application to take that appeal and take it straight to the Hawaii Supreme Court to expedite the ruling on it. And so that is currently pending before the Hawaii Supreme Court, though we anticipate that Hawaii Supreme Court may take it. The issue with that and why I'm describing this legal appeal process to you is because one of the conditions for the initial payment of settlement funds is that the subrogation issue is finally resolved. And so the appeals process would need to play out before initial payment starts on settlement. So all the parties, defendants, the IPs and their counsel and the class counsel are all working toward resolving the subrogation issues so that we can get payments out as soon as possible. I think that's the extent of the update for class and for subrogation.
Chair, so
Yes.
I'm sorry. I was going to
Oh.
say if we can discuss further issues in executive session.
Okay. Thank you. But before we get into discussion, can I please double check with staff to make sure that there's no other testifiers wishing to testify on this item?
Thank you, Chair. There's no individual signed up to testify. If anyone would like to testify, please come up to the podium or raise your hand on Teams. This is last call. The countdown is 3, 2, 1. Seeing none, Chair, no one has indicated that they wish to testify.
Thank you. Members, without objection, I will now close oral testimony on this item. Thank you. As a reminder, written testimony will continue to be accepted. We're going to be doing a 3-minute question period, if that's okay with you folks. Please ask any questions that you can ask in open session before we go into executive session. I won't be calling on anyone particularly. There's no row, so if you do have a question, please raise your hand. Member Paulton, followed by Chair Lee.
Thank you. That was a lot of legalese, it felt like. First question, no initial payments have been paid, no payments have been paid out to any of the plaintiffs?
Payments have been made from the One Ohana Fund, but not from the settlement fund. Yeah.
Okay. Because the One Ohana folks aren't plaintiffs, right? They're just claimants.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. And then the federal cases, the Stouffer and the Bash case, can you repeat that part? I kind of missed it. Like, what is the difference if it's a federal case? That makes it.
Yes, there's no difference in the way that the complaint is put forth. They chose the federal venue, which in the beginning of this case, we went back and forth between state and federal venues. We chose to try to keep it in front of Judge Cahill so that we could keep all the issues in front of one judge and in one case. Ultimately, this is a rogue case that we haven't been able to fold within the larger case that's in front of Judge Cahill. It is...
So they're going along parallel to all the folks that are going in front of Judge Cahill? Is that what's going on?
They would like to, but what ultimately happens is the federal court sees that there's already a class action that has been litigated extensively and that has received preliminary approval and that is about to receive final approval. So the federal court ends up staying the case. Right now, we were trying to work out an agreement so we didn't have to file a motion, but a motion is likely coming to stay the Bash case as well.
And then you said the same lawyer did both of those cases. Can you mention who it is, or is that not allowed?
No, I can. It's of public record. His name is Mr. Sam King. He was previously the attorney who filed for the Stover matter, and he has now found additional representatives for the Bash matter.
And then
Sam King Jr., I'm
when
sorry,
you say
Mr. Sam King Jr.
and when you say case, there same thing. There might be multiple people in those cases.
Yes, it's multiple named plaintiffs as class representatives, and then because it's a class complaint, he writes out what the class, what he would like to allege the class encompasses. One of the issues is that the class that's in front of Judge Cahill is already broad enough to encompass the class that he is alleging in Bash and in Stover.
Okay, I heard the bell. Thank you.
Thank you, Member
Oh,
Poppy.
I didn't ask any executive session questions.
It's not yet anyway. Charlie?
Okay, thank you. Jordan, there were, about 102, 104 people who died, and there are only 26 death claims. How come?
I can only speculate. It was, broadly advertised that the fund was available, but it was up to people to apply. So there just weren't that many applicants. Perhaps they felt they would do better in court, or,
I see. Okay. And even with the injured, 21 injured, only 7 offers accepted?
Yes, of the 21 initial registered claims, Judge Ibarra, who was the administrator of the fund, was only able to really substantiate 7. They did have to meet the criteria of being serious physical injuries.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then, so 40 million was for the death claims, and is that correct? 40 million?
34.5 million was paid out on the death claims, leaving a total, and then another, my math, 5.5 million was paid to the 7 for the serious physical injury, because the total came to about 40 million paid out.
Paid out. Okay, so there's quite a bit left, and that's going to the settlement fund. And I heard you say something about 19,000 releases?
Yes, just to clarify,
Wait, how can you have, 19,000 releases, but you only have 3,965 cases?
yeah, so let me just clarify a couple things. They are going to open phase 2 of the One Ohana Fund, so there might be, we anticipate there will be more claims made under that, because they're expanding the scope of the definition to overnight hospital stays or emergency room visits. So it's not quite going into the settlement fund yet. That's all going to get resolved. And then as to the number of cases, there are a number of defendants in this case, and the county's only one of them. So 3,965 cases were filed against the county. There were more cases filed against all the other defendants, so not everyone decided to sue the county. So that explains some of that. But as I mentioned, some of these cases have hundreds of plaintiffs. So each case has a number, a filing number, but each of those filing numbers can contain hundreds of individuals. That's how we're getting up to like 17,000 and
So,
anticipate.
the people that are suing, how much is in that fund?
That's part of the settlement fund of 1.2 billion.
1.2 billion, okay. Yeah, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Member Sugimura?
Yeah, thank you. So basically then you're going to open up the One Ohana again. So people who have second thoughts now can apply for it that didn't do it the first round.
They're reopening the One Ohana Fund for claimants that after the date of August 8th, 2025. So if you haven't made a claim yet and would like to, and the scope of this fund has extended to additional injuries.
Okay.
So it is an additional opportunity that should cover more claimants.
Okay.
Now, sorry, can I also clarify that any claimant has three choices. They can go into One Ohana Fund and do it without litigation. They can go and hire an attorney or file claims in court through the IP, and that would go through the IP settlement fund. Or they can join the class and they can take from the class settlement fund. So it's their choice between the three. So that explains also some of the numbers for the One Ohana Fund.
Okay. I know that by just talking to people in the community that they're, hoping for some kind of funds to come from this. So you're saying, I mean, they're not the One Ohana group, but just they're, rebuilding their homes. When can they anticipate any kind of outcome, I guess, from the lawsuits?
So as Jordan mentioned, I think one of the big stumbling blocks to getting those first payments out is the subrogation issue. That's going to get resolved, because if it doesn't get resolved, it has the potential of blowing up a whole settlement. So we're hoping that it gets resolved quickly. And if it does, we could anticipate the payments going out the first quarter of next year, assuming, again, the subrogation issue gets resolved. However, how those payments are going to be made or prioritized or allocated has not yet been decided.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Members, do you have any other questions before we move into executive session? Member Paulton.
Sorry, can you repeat about the 19,000 number?
Sure. So those are releases that the individual plaintiffs' counsel have gathered from their clients. So to date, the settlement can't happen until we receive releases from individual plaintiffs. So their counsel has been working diligently in getting all of them done. We anticipate probably another couple thousand to go, give or take. That's where that number comes from.
Okay, and so that's like how you said, of the 3,965 cases, there's multiple people in the cases.
Yes, correct.
And could they email those releases? Because some folks on this look at you said they missed the meeting with their lawyer.
Yeah, they can email it to their lawyer, and the lawyer can figure out how to get it to the special masters. Unless
It doesn't need to be a wet signature.
This process is being administered by the masters in the individual plaintiff claims administration process and run through the liaison counsel, so the run through the attorneys. They can email it to the attorneys, and I believe that they're accepting electronic signatures, but there's rules about that within that claims process, because what they need to make sure is they have to authenticate each of the releases. So I would say talk to your attorney, and
Talk to your lawyer.
and the
Okay.
claims administrator can give advice on those things.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Of course. Any other questions before we go into executive session? If not, I will entertain a motion to convene an executive meeting in accordance with Section 92-5A4 Hawaii Revised Statutes to consult with legal counsel on questions and issues pertaining to the powers, duties, privileges, immunities, and liability of the county, the council, and the committee.
So move.
Thank you. I have a motion made by Member Cook, second by Member Sugimura. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All in favor, please vote aye.
Aye.
All opposed, you can, but please vote aye.
Chair, that's 7 ayes, 0 noes to excuse Member Sinensi and Member Ramos-Fernandez. Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Members, Casey will move us into where we need to go, so please don't touch your computers. If not, IT will have to come and fix it for us. And other than that, we are going to go into executive session. Hold on. For the record, the following personnel will be attending this executive meeting. All council members, including myself. Nohelani U'uhajins, Committee Vice Chair Tamara Paulton, Councilmember Tom Cook, Councilmember Gabe Johnson, Councilmember Tasha Kama, Council Chair Alice Lee, and Councilmember Yukile Sugimura. Council Services staff include Mr. Peter Hanano, Legislative Attorney, and Maria Leon, Committee Secretary. And from Corporation Council, are we going to have all three of you stay in? Okay, so we're going to have Corporation Counsel Takayasu, Deputy Corporation Counsel Thomas Colby, and Mr. Jordan Inafuku, Special Corporation Counsel with the McCorston firm. I think that's it. So at this time, it is 2:06, and I'm going to call a 10-minute recess, and we will reconvene an executive meeting. And this great committee is now in recess. Will the Great Committee please reconvene? It is 3:25 p.m. We just got out of our executive session meeting, and at this time, if Mr. Hanano can please provide all the things we need to say when we come back into open session. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Your Great Committee met to discuss legal strategies related to insurance coverages for the county, including settlement considerations relating to insurance claims pertaining to the 2023 wildfires. In addition, there was also discussions related to the rights, liabilities, and settlement pertaining to the 2023 wildfire litigation. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. And as a reminder, that was for HRS Statute Section 92-4. Are there any questions before we move on to my recommendation, which really isn't much because this was a 7B and was not scheduled for any legislative action? So at this time, members, without objection, I will now defer this item. Okay, thank you very much. Now we're going to move on to Resolution 25-184, Settlement Authorization of Christopher Salem v. County of Maui et al. Civil 2 CCV 21-00000048, parentheses 2, Great 1119. So members, we have before us Resolution 25-148, which would approve the settlement of the claim which alleges breach of contract, tortious injury, and unlawful termination, and seeks special, general, and punitive damage and declaratory and injunctive relief. In addition to Corporation Counsel John Gores, we have with us today special counsel from Kobayashi Suguta and Goda LLP, Craig Shikuma. If there are no objections, I would like to designate him as a resource person under Rule 18A of Rules of the Council for their special expertise in this situation. Again, that's our special counsel. No objections? Thank you very much. At this time, I'm going to request any opening comments. If Mr. Gores, if you have any opening comments, or Mr. Shikuma, before we take testimony again on this item. Do you have any opening comments?
Thank you, Madam Chair. We've been here before. Basically, we're here, special counsel's here to talk to you about settlement authority. The matter was originally set for trial here on June 23rd. The court continued the trial to a date yet to be determined and has set a settlement conference for November the 11th. We have made a Rule 68 offer of settlement, which Mr. Shikuma can explain. And Mr. Salem has made a response to that, and I will let Mr. Shikuma explain that when in executive session. But he's here to discuss that situation with you.
Thank you. Mr. Shikuma, do you have any opening comments you would like to provide?
Not at this time. I would reserve my comments for executive session.
Okay, thank you very much. Staff, do we have any testifiers before going into discussion for this item, Great 1119?
Chair, no individuals have signed up to testify. If anyone would like to testify, please come up to the podium or raise your hand on Teams. This is final call. The countdown is 3, 2, 1. Seeing none, Chair, no one has indicated that they wish to testify.
Thank you, members. Seeing there are no testifiers, without objection, I will now close oral testimony for this item. Thank you. And as a reminder, written testimony will continue to be accepted. We're going to be doing a 3-minute question period round for open session. So members, if you have any questions before we move on to executive session, please raise your hand. Member Sukimura, please go ahead.
If you have anything you'd like to tell us in open session, and we'll reserve everything for close, but.
I don't think I have anything more to add to this other than this is basically to discuss settlement authority for purposes of the settlement conference on November the 11th and the status of where things are at, why the trial got continued, that sort of thing. So.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, members. Any other questions? If not, I will do my speech and then make a recommendation to go into executive session. Okay, seeing none. I will entertain a motion to convene an executive meeting in accordance with Section 92-5 A4, Hawaii Revised Statutes to consult with legal counsel on questions and issues pertaining to the powers, duties, privileges, immunities, and liability of the county, the council, and the committee. And Section 92-5A8, Hawaii Revised Statutes to deliberate or make a decision upon a matter that requires the consideration of information that must be kept confidential pursuant to state or federal law or court order. Can I
So
please-
moved.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion made by Member Kama and second by Member Sugimura for executive session on item grade 1119. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye. All opposed, say no.
Chair, I believe that's 7 ayes, 0 no. Okay, 7 ayes, 0 noes to excuse members Rollins, Fernandez, and Sinensi. Motion carries.
Thank you very much. For the record, the following personnel will be attending this executive meeting. All council members in attendance, including myself, Committee Chair Nohe Uuhajins, Committee Vice Chair Tamara Paulton, Councilmember Tom Cook, Councilmember Gabe Johnson, Councilmember Tasha Kama, Council Chair Alice Lee, and Councilmember Yukile Sugimura. Office of County Services staff include Peter Hanano, Legislative Attorney, and Maria Leon, Committee Secretary. From Corporation Council, Mr. Gores, are you going to stay with us as well? Are you staying or no? Can you say? I forget what we... Okay. Okay. I think that's what we have to do. That's right. So we're going to have, give me 1 second, Mr. Shikuma stay with us as our special counsel. And that is all the attorneys we will have present besides OCS attorney. Yeah. Okay. And Mr. Colby will be with us as well. Deputy Corporation Counsel Colby. And at this time, I'm going to take a 5-minute recess to reconvene in executive session. It is 3:32 p.m. See you folks in executive session meeting. Casey will move you. Please don't move yourself. Thank you. Will the Government Relations, Ethics, and Transparency Committee meeting please reconvene? It is 4:01 p.m. Members, we have just completed our executive session on item grade 1119, and at this time, I'm going to ask Mr. Hanano to please provide us a summary in accordance with Hawaii Revised Statutes, Section 92-4. Oh, wait, Mike.
Thank you, Chair. Your great committee met to discuss settlement efforts and strategies, including potential liabilities related to plaintiff's litigation pertaining to his claims that are remaining, as well as claims that were dismissed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any further discussion before I move on to my recommendation? Okay, seeing none, at this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to recommend the adoption of Resolution 25-184, including any non-substantive revisions. I have a motion made by Member Sugimura and a second by Member Kama. Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye.
Chair, that's 7 ayes, 0 noes to excuse members Rollins, Fernandez, and Sinanci. Motion carries.
Thank you very much. This item will move on to full council for its consideration. At this time, this concludes this great committee meeting. Thank you very much, members, and it is 4:02 p.m. See you tomorrow.